Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hi, Sandy. Okay, everybody's coming on, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Happy Sunday, everyone. Let me just move my stuff aside. So a couple announcements before I get started tonight. I think it was on Friday, I polled everyone for next Sunday because I don't have anything made up for next Sunday. I usually work a month ahead of time. So I polled everybody as far as what stamps that you guys want me to use next Sunday. So I'm giving you a choice between Falling for Leaves and Country Home. So if you scroll down on my Facebook page, you should be able to find that post. I believe it was Friday. And I think right now Country Home is in the lead by like 60-some% over 30%. So it looks like I might be using this one right now. So this will be for next Sunday. And let's see what else I have. Okay, this week is going to be my debut for 3D Thursday. So once a month on the third Thursday of the month, I'm going to be doing 3D projects. I know a lot of you guys like to see 3D projects. This was something that I had created for the 3D Thursday team that I'm on. And everybody fell in love with this. So I'm going to show you how to make this on Thursday. So make sure you tune in at 7 p.m. And a little change of plans for Wednesday. I usually have my Design with Debbie class. But because we have the Dashing Along promotion running right now, this is only good for a month. And I actually got my paper in. Anyone that places a $250 order, workshop, or class, you get this paper for free. And mine came in this week. So you get 4 pages of the same print, 12 pages total. So let me flip this one over. And it's like the newsprint. This one has little snowflake looking flower with stripes on the back. And then we got this cute pattern. And then some more flowers and greenery on the back of this one. So instead of having my normal Design with Debbie class, I'm still going to do a Design with Debbie, but I'm going to stamp for you. And we have some samples that were emailed to us. And I'm going to do all of these samples to show you how to use the paper. So I'm still going to be on at 8 p.m., but I'm going to just do my own thing and you guys can just watch this week. Okay, so let's get started for tonight. I'm using the Healing Hug stamp set. I am going to be casing. For those of you that are new, casing means copy and share everything. And when I open my stamp case, it's empty. So that means I'm using every single stamp in this set tonight. Now let me show you the page that I'm going to be casing. Oh, my video just went down. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Okay, there you are. So if you look on page 110 of the annual catalog, I'm going to be casing all 3 of these samples. And then I have a bonus project that I'm going to show you at the end also for the last card. So the first one I'm starting with is this clean and simple with a lot of white space. So let me bring in all the supplies we need for that one. And this is the card. I got some sequins in the background. I'm using thick Whisper White for the card base, which is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. And then I have, I'm going to do the inside of the cards tonight too. I want everything to coordinate. So I'm doing the inside to match the front. So the inside is 5 1/4 by 4. And then we have a little strip of gray granite that measures 1 inch by 4 1/4. And I've already gone ahead and made a bow with the linen thread. And then I've got some sequins here, the white ones out of the metallics assortment. So let me Bring in a scrap piece of white. Now for inks, we're using Gray Granite, Calypso Coral, Granny Apple Green, and Highland Heather. I'm going to start out with the Calypso. I am doing a little bit of fussy cutting tonight just on this one card. So that's the flower. Now let me see how I did the inside. So I'm going to do the inside while I have the ink on this stamp image. And I'm going to do the flower way in the corner. And then I'm going to bring in Granny Apple Green. I'm going to stamp one that I'm going to hand cut. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to keep going right here. Work my way upwards and I went from a larger image to a smaller image, and I'm going to do the same thing right here. Okay, so that's all I'm doing for the inside. Pretty simple, no sentiment yet. So now let me go ahead and cut the flower and the leaf out. And I promise this is the only cutting you have to watch me do tonight. And I am leaving a little bit of white space. Wouldn't it be nice to have some dies for this flower? So I've been busy today, even though it's Sunday. I had, late on Friday, I had my product share order come in. And I posted that on Facebook today. So a lot of people didn't understand what a product share is. So I order all of the designer papers from the holiday catalog, all of the embellishments, and all of the ribbons. And I split that between 4 people. So instead of you having to purchase all of that by yourself, you get a sampling of everything. I think it was Rhonda that just messaged me, wanted to know what a product share was. So it's just a cheaper way to get a sampling of everything. And then when you get all your stuff, if there's like a paper pack that you really like after you've seen the sampling, you can turn around and buy another package of it if you feel that it's worth it. And you're not spending a lot of money by doing that too. Okay, I'm almost done cutting. So we are doing 4 cards tonight for those of you that are just chiming in. The bonus card I'm actually casing, and I'm going to show you guys another place to find some good ideas for casing. Okay, so I have my flower and my little branch. So let me go ahead and glue the inside. And even though my card base is white, I always line the inside of my cards with another piece of white. It just looks better, don't you think? It just really makes a statement when you add the white on the inside. Okay, let me bring my card back in. Now I'm going to stamp 2 branches. About there. And I'm all done with the Granny Apple Green. And now I'm going to bring the other branch image, and I'm using Highland Heather. That's it. Oh, and don't forget to share, you guys. For those of you guys that share, you're going to be entered into my drawing, and I'll show you later what I'm going to be drawing tonight. Of course, the sharing part of it, let me make sure this is right side up. Nope, see, good thing I stopped. The sharing part, I'm going to draw a name for all the cards I make tonight. Okay, I've gone ahead and stamped the sentiment, and I did granite gray over granite gray. So whoever I pick for sharing my video, you're going to win 4 cards tonight. Okay, now as far as the branch, what I did is I made it so that it's still kind of 3D-ish. What I did for that is I just added glue to the stem part. And I'm going to glue that down here. And then let me get some stamping dimensionals. And I'm going to glue the bow in place first. And that's going to go right there. Oh, Rhonda, you received the door prize from last week. Good. Rhonda had won the stained glass vellum paper. Okay, so oh, look. So whoever wins is not going to get this one. Now, where did that come from? I hate it when I do that. Okay, now let's bring in the sequins. I don't even know where that ink came from. You guys probably saw it because you seem to see everything that goes on without me knowing. Take your pick tool. This is our new tool. See how I grabbed onto the sequin? I love this tool. Now I got a little tiny one in here somewhere. Let's do this one. I should take the cover off so I can use the little sharp end. Look how much easier that is to put down. Okay, that's card number 1 with my little boo-boo. I'll cover it so you can't see it. See, you can't tell there's a boo-boo back there. So whoever wins will not get this card. I'll fix that. So that's card number 1. So let me set up for card number 2. Okay, before I show you card number 2, I'm going to show you where you can get some more inspiration. So when you go on the Stampin' Up website, on the store, to do your purchases, if you click, let's say on Healing Hugs stamp set, to bring up the image and the description, right below the description, there's little thumbnails. See those little thumbnails? There's almost all of the products have little samples that you can click on. So that's what I did here. I clicked on this little sample. This is what came up. I blew it up so you guys could see it, and I printed it for you. And then this is the card I came up with. So that's another place to look for inspiration. A lot of you guys probably didn't know that. So for this card, we're using Coastal Cabana, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And let me show you the inside that I did, just in the corner. Now for this one, as you can see, there's 3 flowers and they overlap each other. So I'm doing the masking technique on this. If you've never done the masking technique, I've gone ahead and stamped the flower. I did 2 of them on a Post-it note. And I made sure when I stamped that the sticky is under part of the flower. And then I hand cut. So I'm going to show you what I'll do with that if you've never seen it. So now I'm using Coastal Cabana and Lemon Lime Twist. And I'm bringing this little, it looks like a little cross stitch. Let me make sure I've got my card opening the right way. And all I'm doing is adding the cross stitching on the edge because most of this is going to be covered. And let me add one more down here. That's all I'm doing for that. So now let me move this aside. Now my piece for the inside is the same as the first card. 5 1/4 by 4. The front is 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. Now let me go ahead and clean my stamp. Now I'm going to stamp the flower once. This is where I bring in my little mask that I cut out. I'm going to cover that first flower. I'm going to ink my stamp, stamp on the scrap, and stamp off. And I'm going to do that a second time. Now when you remove this, see what it looks like? It didn't overlap on the first image that you stamped. That's an old technique. That's one of the first techniques that most people learn when they start stamping. Now we've got the leaves to add in there. We don't want the leaves to overlap, so that's why I have 2 flowers. So I'm going to cover this first one again. And then I'm going to cover the second one. And then we're going to do the lemon lime twist. I'm stamping in between both flowers. Now I need to do down here, so I'm going to remove this one. Come back here. Cover this one. And I'm going to do one more leaf down here. So now when I remove this, the leaves did not stamp over my flowers. Pretty neat. Okay, let me move this aside for a second while I do the sentiment. Now this one says, sending you healing vibes. I'm using the tailored tag punch. And let's see, I need to go in about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to insert right here and then trim to make my little flag on the end. Next, I'm going to add snail. And then add this over the ribbon. And I'm just going to trim my ribbon. And now we can glue this to the card front. Where's my glue? Oh, it's right here. I got too much stuff on my counter. And I'm only on card number 2. I'm in trouble tonight. Okay, so I'm gluing this even with the top. Now I'm also going to bring in a pearlized doily. They snuck one right under the ribbon part. So I'm just going to cut a little sliver. Add the doily right there. And then we're going to glue the sentiment down with Stamping Dimensionals. The reason I'm adding 6 only because I have some snail here and I don't want that to press down and glue itself, so then you have a curved layer. So I'm trying to stop that from happening. Okay, and then this is going to go even with the right hand side. And I'm going to bring in the glue dots to add my bow. Now what I normally do with twine, I just roll it so that it's real skinny. Press it down and then add the bow. And we're going to do sequins one more time. So I'm going to bring my little take your pick tool again. Whoops. That one won't let go. It really stuck to that one. Now when they're upside down, I have to make sure I turn them right side up so I can use them. And of course I got glue on my finger, so that's not going to help things. Okay, one more. Okay, now I've got to finish the inside of the card, so I'll bring that back out in a minute. So on this one, the same thing, we have the masking going on. So again, I'm going to cover my flower, stamp off, and then I have some, a couple leaves I want to add to the, around the flowers. So I'm going to add one right here between these two. And then I'm going to move this one up here to do the last one. And there's the magic. Isn't that neat? I'm sure most of you guys have done masking before, but I know I have some new stampers here, so I thought I'd show that tonight. Okay, so there's card number 2. Isn't that pretty with the sequins? I just love those iridescent white ones. They're so pretty. Okay, so let me move all this aside and move on to card 3. Oh, and I know I love those colors too. I seem to be using my 4 colors right now are Lemon Lime Twist, Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, and Bermuda Bay. Those are like my favorite colors right now. I'm just cleaning all my stamps that I've used so far just so I'm ready. There's the sequin. Okay, let me set up for card number 3. Now, this one I need to explain to you. So when you bring in the catalog, you see this right here. This is a tin. I didn't want to create a tin. I wanted to create a card. So I'm actually going to copy and selectively edit this time because I'm going to try to replicate this as best as I can, but I did change some things around. I'm running out of room over here, guys. Okay, so this is the card I replicated. So you can see it's quite similar, except I put the banner horizontal instead of vertical. And I've gone ahead and cut out the die shape. Now these are the delicate lace edgelets. Aren't they pretty? The one I'm using tonight is this one in the center. Now, what's nice about these is there's no coordinating stamp set. You just buy the edgelets by themselves and you can use them any way you want. So this is so pretty. I'll put it on the early espresso here so you can see how pretty that is. So for this card, early espresso, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. We do need a sponge dauber. I've got 2 pieces of white, 5 1/4 by 4, one for the inside, and I just did on the corner. Now, did you notice that I have 2 colors on my flowers? Okay, I got pumpkin pie and crushed curry, so I'm going to show you how I did that. And then we have pear pizzazz, 3.5 by 2 inches. Now, let me bring in my stamp. So for ink colors, we got crushed curry, pumpkin pie, and pear pizzazz. Now, I'm going to bring in the crushed curry and the pumpkin. And what I've done is I ink the whole flower with crushed curry. And then I bring in the sponge dauber. Oops, wait a minute. I got a little piece of cardstock here. Let me do that again. So I'm doing the pumpkin pie and I'm actually sponging around the edges. And then I'm going to add just a little bit in the middle. And look how pretty that is. It adds a two-tone rose. Isn't that neat? Now I'm going to scrub this each time only because I don't want to add pumpkin pie ink to my crushed curry ink pad. So again, I'm going to add ink, the pumpkin pie, around all the edges. A little bit in the middle. There's flower number 2. So I got to do this 6 times. And you know what's really neat? Not one flower is going to look the same. They're all going to be different. Now this is just a partial. But doesn't it make it look so realistic? Now this is number 4. Debbie, don't know what the problem is with your website. It's not usually on my end, Debbie. It's usually on your end. Because mine, everything's working fine. I can see you guys. You guys are all chatting. Not getting notices of your online classes. Okay, I'll explain that to you maybe in a post later. Because remember, I think it was last week, you guys, someone else said that, and because I'm never sure if I'm going to be on Sunday, depending what Dave and I do, I didn't have the Sunday share set up as an event. So I just came on whenever. So what you need to do is go to my events tab, because I did set up the Sunday event now, and you need to follow it. Or click on you're interested. There's something there you got to click on. And that way you'll get your notifications. Okay, so there's my 6 flowers. So isn't that cool with the two-tone effect? They look so real. I love that. And actually, and let me do one. I got one more here I got to do on the other one. Then I can put this away. And that one's just going to go in the corner like I did on the other card. Okay, now let me put this ink away. You could actually even start out with like a really, really light yellow and add 2 more colors too. That would look good also. Okay, now we're doing Pear Pizzazz this time for the leaves. And I just filled in the bottom. And one up here. So that's all I did for the inside. And then for the front, all I did was sneak in some leaves where you see some white space on the edges. I didn't want to have to deal with any masking on this one. Let's see, we'll add one more little one right there. That's all I did for that, for the leaves. Oh, and I need to do the sentiment. I love this one, the Get Well Soon. It's so pretty. Now that goes this way. And then I also added some leaves on here. I think they're going to show up a little bit better on this because I re-inked my ink pad. So now all we have left to do is, where's my die cut? We need to glue this down first. Now, if you'll notice, there's a little, like a little score line right there. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. I don't know what do you call that? It's a little dotted line. It shows you where to fold. It's escaping me right now. Okay, so that's going to go right on the edge. I'm going to bring in the snail. So it kind of tucks over. And let me turn it right side up. That way I can make sure my two ends are even. Because I am going to have to trim. And then I'm just going to add my sentiment. But first I'm going to use the triple banner punch. And glue that in place. And then I'm just going to add a couple dots of the liquid glue just so I can press this in place so it'll stay. I'm actually going to turn this upside down. Perforated line. Thank you, Jewel. I just couldn't think of the word. That was a perforated line that I folded on. And that goes on the front. This one goes on the inside. And then I added some pearls, so let me dig those out. Whoops, that one didn't want to come with me. You know, I found a pearl on here while I was stamping and now I know where it went and I flicked it over there. It's missing right here. I must have caught it on something when I was showing you guys the card. Now these are still from the old packages of pearls. I'm trying to use this up. I think I have 2 more left and then I can start using the new ones. Okay, so there's card number 3. And then again, that was the inside. So now let's move on to card number 4. Now card number 4 is going to take a little bit longer. Oh, thanks for all the love and the likes, you guys. So before I start card number 4, let me just go over if I can find. Okay, so tonight the drawing for anybody that shares is going to be all 4 cards. Anybody that comments, I'm going to be giving away the new glimmer paper. There's 2 sheets of each color there. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm showing you guys that Healing Hug stamp set tonight because that's my featured product of the week. For anyone that orders using, I'll put the hostess code back up, but you're going to get a package of the pearlized doilies. And then some of the pool party and silver baker's twine. That's going to be my deal of the week. And I'll be posting that tomorrow on my Facebook page. Okay, so for card number 4, we're using Petal Pink, Flirty Flamingo, Balmy Blue, and Garden Green. I think this is my favorite card. That's why I'm doing it last. It's going to take a little bit longer. This is Petal Pink, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Again, for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4. Whisper White, 4 1/4 by 3. And then this is from the Subtles paper pack. This measures 4 3/4 by 3. And this is also the Petal Pink sheet. And then we have a scrap piece of white that's 1 inch wide with the Pool Party Shimmer ribbon. And this is the last card for tonight. I'm doing a little bit of watercoloring. And then I just added a few leaves on the inside. So let me go ahead and clean these 2 stamps. So I am doing some watercoloring on this one. Now, if you'll notice on the leaves and the flower, after it's stamped, I'm going to show you how to highlight. See the different color that I added there? I'm going to show you how to highlight, and I did that on the leaves also. So let me go ahead and score this. Fold on the score line. The first step is going to be to use Petal Pink ink on the Petal Pink cardstock. And all I'm doing is filling this in with flowers all around. Most of it's going to be covered, so you don't have to be fussy in the middle. And I kind of just go tap, tap, stamp, tap, tap, stamp. Just get a rhythm going. Next, I'm going to glue this in place. If I can find my snail. And I'm gluing this at an angle. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the 2 white pieces. So this flower is going to be stamped with the Petal Pink. And then, you know what? I have a green missing. Oh, it's the Granny Apple. I used it on card number 1. So we're also using Granny Apple green on this one. The garden green is going to be to do the highlighting. So I'm adding some leaves. Now for the inside, I just added a cluster in each corner. Okay, let me put these 2 colors. So what I'm using is an offsetting color. So I'm going with Flirty Flamingo because it's darker than the Petal Pink. And then Garden Green because it's darker than the Granny Apple. Now I'm going to bring in a tin so I can have it closer so you guys can watch. I'm going to bring in my little tin here. I didn't mean to open these. So I'm going to squeeze so I can get some ink in the cover, in the lid. Okay. And I'm just barely going to tap my aqua painter. And anywhere that you feel that there's detail is where you're going to color. And it just really brings out those petals. Now, most of the time, you're going to have shadows under the petals. So that's pretty much where I'm adding my color. And then I'm just blending it in. I'm not spending a lot of time because this is not watercolor paper. You don't want to get it too wet. And then once it's dry, I go in and add just a little more to bring it out even more. So I hope you guys can see that. See all the detail that adds by doing that? And I'm touching very lightly with the aqua painter. So yes, this would take a little bit of practice, but I think it's a lot of fun. And what did help me with this is I looked at the picture of the flower on, let me see, on the case here, and you can see where some of the darkness is between the petals. Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit more. And then I just keep adding until I'm happy with what it looks like. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for the flower. Now I'm going to bring in the green, the garden green. And the only place that I added green was on the more bold of the leaf, right where the veins of the leaf. And I'm just barely touching. Okay, so see how that adds detail to the leaf? And even if you don't follow the ones that you see there, the veins that you see, you can add your own. It's no big deal. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do for that. So isn't that nice? Now, the last thing I'm going to color, I'm adding blue around everything. So that's where the balmy blue comes in. So I'm going to squeeze. Now let me start with the inside because that's an easy one. So again, I'm just barely adding ink and I'm starting right in the corner and then working my way out. And I'll even use my finger to rub some of that off. I just want to show you. See how I did? I just added some there and then I added a little bit around the bottom. And I know a lot of you are probably saying, I can't do that. Trust me, you can. My trick is always to feather out the color so that it's very light when you're done with it. So let's go to the main image now. So again, I'm going to go right between the leaves. And don't forget that as you're doing this, the blue that you see, as you see it now, it's going to lighten up as it dries too. So I'm following the flower. And again, I'm going to follow the edge of the flower and then feather it out. Isn't that neat? See how that really pops? So this would be a good, for you guys that are demonstrators and do classes, this would be a good class to teach your students. Very simple. I didn't do it on watercolor paper only because there's so much detail on this flower and watercolor paper tends to be more textured. So I was worried that you would lose the detail of the flower. So that's why I'm just using Whisper White, and you have to be quick so that you don't get it too wet. Okay, and that's all I'm gonna do there. Isn't that neat? So now let me get rid of the tin. And I'm going to glue this panel in place with Stamping Dimensionals. Oh, look at that pearl I lost. There it is. Funny guy. Oh, Cookie, you just asked if you could use watercolor paper. Like I said, I don't think the detail of the flower would stamp as well, only because it tends to be more texturized. Okay, now all I got left to do is this sentiment. Now this one says, wishing you a quick and complete recovery. Going to bring the blue back in for that. And again, I'm going to use the tailored tag punch. Now, okay, there's my piece of ribbon. Now I think I can use snail on this one. Yep. Now that's gonna go right, I don't want to cover the flower too much, so I'm gonna go right there. And we'll glue that flat. And then we're going to glue the inside. And there's card number 4. So let me bring all the cards back in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for those of you sharing, thanks for sharing. And you'll be entered into a drawing to win all 4 of these cards. Anybody commenting will have a chance to win the glimmer paper. And then don't forget about my deal of the week. For placing an order, you'll get a package of the pearlized doilies and the baker's twine. And then I just want to regroup again in case you tuned in late. So on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing Dashing Along. I'm going to show you how to make these cards instead of my normal Design with Debbie. And where is my 3D project for Thursday? This will be my first month doing 3D projects for you for 3D Thursday. So 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday and 7 p.m. on Thursday. So thanks so much for stopping by, everyone. Have a good remainder of your Sunday, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Good night.